It's your boy Superman 2000. Get his glasses off. Coming from the fight chair. I'm just going over these rankings, and something just crossed my mind in terms of the division. So John Jones is out to the picture officially. I mean, it's hard for me as a fan to just say, well, I can't let John Jones enter my mind until his stuff gets squared off. So he's gonna be in the back burner. Just put him aside and keep the division moving, and that's what has to happen. Because I mean, as a fan, I can't wait till Jones sort that stuff out with USADA back and forth. That's gonna take several months. Meanwhile, you have guys like Alexander Gustafsson sitting down wanting a shot and can't, and he's ranked number two now, and he should have been got his. I mean, I know he got another title shot with DC, but it's time for his second title shot now. And what's gonna happen is that those guys, so DC, I guess because of the concussion, he's probably he got hit in the head, so he's probably on a medical suspension. That medical suspension, that's gonna put him out maybe 6 months. So when he's out that time, what's gonna happen is that, I mean, this is number two and the number three guy gonna fight, or is the number four and the number five guy gonna fight? Is number seven guy? I mean, that division, the rankings are correct. I do agree with the rankings in that division. I think everything is good in that division. The only thing that threw me off was why Jones fought OSP when he came back, and OSP wasn't that high in the rankings. That's what threw me off. But for now, as the rankings are in this situation, I think they're correct. So I just want to see the division moving again. And then when Jones get his stuff sorted out, and he when you saw the work whatever issue up there out, then he can come back. But for right now, DC's got to defend that title. Alexander Gustafsson got to get his title shot. Either Jimmy Manua is going to fight OSP next or something, but something has to happen. Incidentally, OSP over in St. Pro, he did a fantastic job with the Van Flo choke. I mean, he did a fantastic job. Now I was going to do a video on that UFC Japan, but I decided to wait because one of the things I realized is that Bellator is also nipping at the heels. Now, if you compare the two events, Bellator 183 and the UFC event, the Bellator event was like, I hate to say it, but the Bellator event was like way better. I kid you not, it was way better. The fighting was good. That Patricio Pitbull and Ben Henderson, they gave it 100%. It was close, but Pitbull got it. Henderson is gonna have to go back and retool and come back again. So Scott Croker in Bellator, they're doing something right. Their fighters aren't having weight issues. They're not testing positive for drugs all the time. No, let me say this. Their drug policy might be a little more relaxed because what I'm finding as I read into research on USADA is that they're testing so close to the event that when they test so close to the event, they're pulling fighters from fighting, right? Now you pull somebody off a card that the marketing is over $6 million, has gone out worldwide. Uh, everything is there in place. So that's a big loss. You get that and you pull somebody like the Santos off the what's it called, the event, and he's supposed to be fighting Saint Pro. He doesn't fight Saint Pro. Now UFC has to scramble to put the whole card together again. That's money going out the door. Also keep in mind that the fees that the UFC pays to USADA are very high. It's very costly to keep paying these people to test people randomly 365 days out of the year, cover the cost of them flying and showing up in different countries all over the world and that type of stuff. So not only is is the organization that's doing the testing costing the UFC money in terms of what it costs to maintain that structure and cover the cost of testing and the facilities and that type of stuff. It also costs the UFC money in terms of canceled events, lost revenue from fighters not being able to fight, and it's having a domino effect to where it's starting to erode a lot of the cards. All right. No, I just read like 3 or 4 fighters this week got pulled because of positive drug tests. It was like I just don't know what's going on. I know Dana White want to clean the sport up, but I think he's unleashed the animal on the UFC that he himself now cannot control, and it's gonna wind up costing him lots of money. Because Bellator events, they're running smooth. Their fighters don't have any weight issues. Their fighters just no drug issues except for Kimbo Slice. He did his equal time, pat on the back, blah blah blah, suspended, and he's back on the road again. No, I'm not saying don't the drug testing. I'm not saying be flexible, but I'm saying there's got to be some level of reasonableness where USADA can notify the promoter ahead of time so you don't damage the business. So this is one time, this is the first time I'm actually defending Dana White, but I believe that Dana White needs to sit down with them and say, hey, if you're going to have these drug tests and pull somebody from the card or whatever, not, give me some advance notice or set up a testing window where you cannot test beyond a certain point so it doesn't affect me financially. He has to come to some type of agreement with them because a lot of these good cards are going to get scrapped. And funnily enough, I hate to say it, but I think it's almost like everybody in the UFC is doing drugs, but they just haven't been caught. So I'm starting to agree with Nate Diaz as I start doing more research. All right, guys, I don't want to make this video too long. So, point I was making is that division, the rankings are good, and the division needs to get moving. And I don't want USADA destroying the UFC by not notifying fighters and the promoter ahead of time before an event because that's going to do some long term damage. And I'm going to run another video about this where I break down all the fighters who's been pulled from all the upcoming cards. Now, here's one interesting one. This was the one that I found the most. Oh man, this one yeah, and I won't even talk about that one. Yeah, I will. So Robbie Lawler, right? He tested. Apparently, they have a thing where they test your white blood cell count. So they said his white blood cell count tested very high after a fight. So what they wanted to do was to hold him for potential suspension and run more tests on him. They concluded, this is what they were saying, hey, that he had some blood drawn. He had blood drawn, maybe 2 or 3 quarts of blood, whatever is a reasonable amount, drawn from his body and placed in storage. And right after he made the weight and after his training camp was completed fully, so that drugs was like drawn like the blood was drawn like 6 or 4 months or whatever and put in storage ago. And then right after he made weight and after the weighing, he got the IV and the blood was reintroduced back in his system, and that would cut his recovery time and make him uh, more what's it called? It cut the recovery time and also give him the strength and energy he needs. So basically, it's just like his body is the high blood cell count and the new fresh blood in his body would just invigorate and energize him to where he could go and do his thing. Now, mind you, this is testing off elevated white blood cell levels. So, funny thing about that is that you can catch a cold and have elevated white blood cell levels because your body is fighting off an infection or something. So that's kind of where the weirdness get in. It's like they're testing, and the testing that they're doing is non-specific. It's just all over the map. Levels of this, levels of that. And that's why they test the guys at like 6:30 in the morning, because they're trying, when you fall asleep at night as a man, your testosterone build up in your body, and that's why you wake up with a woody in the morning, because your testosterone is built up in the morning. Incidentally, that's why female rapists always rape their victims early in the morning, between the hours of what's that, 2 and 6 in the morning. It's FBI crime. It's FBI crime report I was reading. Yeah. Anyways, nonetheless, so because your testosterone build up overnight, so what they do is they go in, they test you in the morning, and they're trying to get a baseline. After they test you in the morning when you're sleeping, that's one baseline, and then they come to your training camp when you're training, and your testosterone levels at a certain amount. Then they test you again. Then they keep testing and testing, and they adjust as baseline compared to what's supposed to be normal. And then based on that, now they run that backwards, and then in the middle of those tests, they're testing for drugs. But if they're not calibrating these tests correctly or calibrating them too strict, there's gonna be some issues. There's gonna be some issues in terms of people who just have higher than usual testosterone levels gonna get kicked. Be like, okay, your testosterone level is too high, something's up. Okay, like Alistair Overeem, his testosterone levels were so low that they say, hey, you must be on drugs and you're having withdrawal because your testosterone levels are low. Now, I suspect Overeem did the drugs. There's no doubt about that. And I have no proof. I'm just speculating. And I suspect he came off, and that's why his testosterone levels was low. But just but low testosterone levels can come from other things, not only just steroid withdrawal. So you see the conundrum that these fighters are in. If they get sick, or if their body is so heavily monitored that they have to be just like paranoid at all times about everything. That's the weird part. And Dana White has unleashed this monster on the UFC. Now the USADA is saying, hey, listen, we want to be able to track all the fighters that we're testing via their cell phone. That's right. There's going to be an app on the fighter's cell phone. So they want to be able to, so that way the fighters will not have to turn in, in addition to, they'll turn in their schedule of where they're going to be every day of the week, just 2 weeks in advance or a week in advance once they get the emails. And then there's not going to be an app on their cell phone, and that app is going to be used to track them. So when you saw that people say, hey, let's go and let's test, uh, I'll pull a random name out the hat. Let's test Anderson Silva randomly. They'll turn the app on, and they say, oh, well, he's at his gym right now. Let's go there and catch him. Then they'll go there, then they'll get his PR or whatever. So wherever you are as a fighter, USADA will be able to know where you are and what you're doing via the app on your phone. Now that is a tremendous invasion of privacy. You see where they're starting to go overboard now? Not only can they come to your place of business or your home anytime they see fit, but now they can track your personal whereabouts as they see fit to. Okay? Now that in that it's like, do you really want that level of invasion of privacy under USADA with the UFC, when as a fighter you can go to Bellator where you're not gonna have people hounding you about your drug tests every 5 minutes, and you're able to have other sponsors, not just because the Reebok deal, you only get paid when you fight. Okay? Not just you chilling and money coming in because you're getting sponsored. So Bellator right now is just seeming like the better deal. And a lot of fighters from the UFC They're migrating over to Bellator. A lot of new people coming in. They're coming into Bellator. Now, the sweet thing about that is that they get more money, and they're allowed to be like I know one fighter with the Operation MMA, and I know of him. I should say not know him, but his sponsors. He has three sponsors. They each give him 60 and 70,000 a year, and he has his own gym. So he has money coming in all year, where he can cover his cost of living and fight and take care of himself and his family. So the guys in the UFC, they're barely scraping by. That don't make any sense. All right, guys, I don't want to keep the video too long. But the point I'm making is USADA, they're crossing the lines with the I guess they're either power hungry or power drunk or just Dana White just giving them carte blanche or whatever. But they need to start reining themselves, and it's just too much. And if you watch the fight with Conor McGregor, after the fight, they came to test Mayweather, and during an interview, the USADA agent looked at him and went like it's like he was pointing to the bathroom, and Mayweather was like, "Hey, I told y'all I'm not ready to pee as yet, and y'all's gonna have to wait until I'm ready. And when you did this, you know what you signed up for. When I'm ready, I'll go." Okay, so that's the type of stuff that's like it's just too much. There gotta be some middle ground of reasonableness. Otherwise, people are gonna start going straight to Bellator. And by the way, I'm adding John Jones to my Bellator list. Sorry the video is so long, guys. I got a lot of exciting stuff I've been doing research on, so I'm just like giving it all to you in one video. But I'll shorten it up. All right, guys, my 2 cents from the fight chair. Peace out.